But I happen to think that major labels have some kind of access to like farms or bots or something that are higher quality than what most people have access to.
I don't know if you remember, like they did get slapped on the wrist, like major labels did, and they took hella views away.
Peace, what's going down? It's DJ Payne 1. This is the Music Entrepreneur Club podcast, episode number 26. We don't have any special guests today. It's just us. What's going down, Dame? How are you feeling?
I'm feeling good. I forgot to let you know last week that remember that challenge I was doing, that fitness challenge?
Oh, yeah. How could I forget? It traumatized me just hearing about it.
So I didn't meet my goals, and I was pretty upset about that last week. I was supposed to drop 5% body fat in six weeks. And I only dropped close to 4. So I was a little upset last week. Feeling better this week, getting back to my normal workout routine. But, at least I started some good progress, and now it's just kind of like keeping pace and keeping it up. I'm not going through I'm not doing the same stuff. It's not as intense, but it's like settling into a workout, that I think can still maintain and maybe pick up some more progress. But last week I didn't. So we don't always reach our goal. I definitely don't always reach my goals, and I didn't reach it, in the challenge. So that sucked.
The 20-year-old me would have laughed at you for saying that you didn't reach your goal because you only hit 4% and not 5%. But recently, I tested my body fat percentage, and I was, and those things is apparently not a perfect read.
It can't be. It can't be because like the little machine that does it. I mean, I would, I feel like it can't be that accurate. But my bad for cutting.
But yeah, no, and it wasn't, and that's what my trainers were telling me. But I had gone up, I think, a percentage overall. I was trying to get. I was like, oh yeah, I'm probably at 14 right now, and I was at 15.4 or something. So I freaked out. So I understand.
For sure. So let's before we jump into it, I've been busy kind of packing our schedule for our MEC live sessions. So we have a session next Monday. I don't have a session the following Monday, so right before New Year's. But then starting in January, I'm starting to fill our schedule with a lot of really dope guests. So for the people that haven't signed up for the actual MEC, we still have our discount code I think it's a free 2-week trial. If people use MEC podcast, you can go to sign up at musicentrepreneurclub.com. Use the code MEC podcast. I would encourage you to use it maybe at the top of the year, because again, we're not going to have a session the last Monday of this month. So you're two weeks free. You probably only see one session. So use it at the top of the year. Because we got some really dope guests lined up. I know you got some really dope stuff lined up. MEC podcast is the code for all of our podcast listeners. We'd love to see everybody in our live sessions.
I think I still might have sessions, but I might have to switch the time around. I'm talking to the members. We got a couple new members too, so it's getting more difficult to plan around the holidays. I don't know, man. This year, the holidays just got really complicated. I don't know why. I don't know if you're feeling the same way, but normally I would just go to one spot, eat, pass out, and maybe there was some other thing going on the following weekend. But now it's like, triple, quadruple booked with family and friends and stuff. Everyone wants to do their own thing. I don't know what's going on.
But I still got. It's not really complicated for me this year, but I still definitely got some shopping. I'll probably head out today and grab my last few gifts.
Oh no, that's bad. That is complicated. Because this is like get pepper sprayed in line for the last LOL doll time. So I would just be careful out there, Dame.
For sure. All right, so what do we got queued up for today? You want to talk about your topic first or my topic first?
YouTube is now going to report plays to the Billboard top albums chart. Now, I'll read musically.com writes, Billboard has announced that the video service's data will also count towards its Billboard 200 albums chart. Importantly, this data will only come from official, quote, official licensed video content uploaded by or on behalf of a rights holder, unquote. No user-generated videos will be included. I have feelings about that. This is part of a wider change for the chart, though. Billboard announced that officially licensed video plays from Apple, Spotify, Tidal, and Vivo will also be factored into the U.S. albums chart. These changes will happen from the 18th of January 2020, so it's coming up. And then this is interesting. So as a lot of people know, Leor Cohen, who's the music industry major label mogul and who's YouTube's music head, he's changed a lot of YouTube's policy and kind of put music as the focus, which I think makes total sense for the platform, given that YouTube is really the source for music discovery. And I have stats on that because I think a lot of people think Spotify might be more powerful for music discovery than YouTube is. And he said that, interestingly enough, he suggests that some genres will be boosted by this new reporting policy. He says genres like Latin, hip hop, and electronic, which consistently dominate the YouTube charts, will now be properly recognized for their popularity. Now, personally, I already thought this was happening. This was my mistake. So YouTube was reporting to Billboard, but only to the Hot 100 singles chart, not any other chart. So now it's expanding to other charts on Billboard. So I did think that was happening. And then with regard to YouTube's ownership of the streaming market, according to a company called Media Research, MIDIA, I'm not just mispronouncing media, YouTube is considered the most popular online streaming service with 55% of the market share on the streaming world. What are your thoughts on these changes, Dave? Do you have a feeling either way?
So I don't know if it says in the article, but I mean, I think it's a good thing. However, is it all plays? Like, what about the plays that we, because you can boost your presence on YouTube, by paying essentially. So are these on-demand plays? Are there any plays? Like, because obviously major labels are going to have a leg up on this because, they have bigger budgets, they have relationships with YouTube. So I think this definitely gives an advantage to the major labels. Does it say anything about the different types of play, whether it's on demand or like any plays, or is it?
Yeah, I'm glad you asked that. So a big concern, obviously, and I've seen this in the social media conversations, probably, I think even on the MEC Facebook community, where people have been expressing concern about fake plays, for example. That I think that's what the unsigned artists are worried about, because we know that's something that happens. There should be three categories, right? Yeah. Like fake plays, paid plays, and then like organic, like on-demand plays, right? And so fake plays obviously shouldn't count. I believe paid plays shouldn't count. But they probably do. There's probably nothing in the article that addresses that. Actually, there is. And this is a different article. This is from Billboard.com. So, traditionally, those paid plays, from ads, have counted.
Right.
And so now, this is what I read on Billboard. In an effort to provide more transparency to the industry and align with the policies of official charting companies such as Billboard and Nielsen, this is from a couple months ago, this is back in September, we are no longer counting paid advertising views on YouTube in the YouTube music charts calculation. And then to add to that, there was a situation where an Indian rapper named Badshah, who's huge, I've known about him for a while. He set a 24-hour debut record on views on YouTube, and I think he got over 45 million views within a 24-hour period.
Damn.
Which is a lot. And well, I'll just read the article. After nearly a week went by without confirmation from YouTube of the the record-breaking views. The artist admitting to paying for ads to drive views to his video. And so that became kind of a controversy. But I got a couple points from this. So, number one, when you look at the charts, and I did this morning, it's still the biggest artist on the planet. So like you said, Dame, this is benefit. A lot of us unsigned independent artists are having these conversations about how this is, going to change things and affect us. And I don't think it is at all, because when you look at the charts, it's the biggest artists on the planet that are charting. Unsigned and small independent artists aren't represented on these charts. These are not for us. So if you go right, and I'm not saying YouTube as a platform isn't beneficial to independent artists, but the chart system, you're not seeing Snow the Product on these charts. You're seeing Taylor Swift. You're seeing, literally every artist on there was signed to a major deal. And I don't know if Jake Paul is signed to a major label deal as a musician, but he's Jake Paul, so I'm not really counting that as a victory for unsigned artists. We
actually distribute his music at Foundation.
Okay, so he's not a major then, but he's YouTube's, he's YouTube royalty. He's as close to a major artist as a YouTube content creator can get.
Yeah. And actually, I think Snow this is going to help, because Snow has done a very good job like building her YouTube presence, and she's never strayed away from it, right? She continues to have like vlogs. She's been really active on YouTube, and I think hopefully these changes remind artists that YouTube still exists. Because I think some artists have, like, because of shorter video content platforms, Instagram, Snapchat, people have like stopped focusing as much on like a YouTube strategy. And I think that if you've done that, I think that's a mistake, and you should get back to, because YouTube is still obviously very powerful. You just talked about how it's the biggest platform for music. You should definitely have a YouTube strategy. You should have, depending on what your lane is, maybe you have a podcast, you obviously dropping music videos, but YouTube is still very important for independent artists for sure.
It is. I just don't want independent artists to do it because they think they're going to chart, because 45 million views in the 12-hour period is probably not what you're going to get. This is even separate from this conversation, charting, not charting. You should definitely have, a consistent presence on YouTube. You should have some type of strategy. YouTube is super powerful. I'm seeing it with Big Ja and Minx, the comedians that I manage. They have a very fast growing presence on YouTube. I think Ja probably adds like 10,000 subscribers a week, if not more. Depending. Let me get a shout out, Ja. Damn.
Ja's actually going to be on the MEC. Even though he's a comedian, filmmaker, director, actor, YouTube influencer, he's actually going to come on the MEC the first week of January, because we're going to talk about how he's been able to build up momentum on Facebook too. Like, he's killing it on Facebook. And I know, again, sketch comedy is different from music, but it's not all the way different. So we're going to talk about that.
So, just to put it into perspective, YouTube's existing 24-hour record debut holders, which probably were partially the result of buying, advertisements to boost the views, include BTS, Taylor Swift, and Blackpink. So, like, the biggest K-pop acts on the planet, and Taylor Swift. That's just kind of what it is. So my second point was, so YouTube won't be counting advertised reach, but it's not the same as fake views, which is still kind of a concern for people, but I think not for the right reasons. So the fact remains, even if you're buying fake views, right, and the article doesn't address fake views, but even if you're buying fake views, are you going to buy 45 million fake views, in a 24-hour period, so you can knock Taylor Swift and Betcha off the charts? No, not as an unsigned artist. If you buy that many views, obviously you're going to have messed up stats. You're going to have 12 likes and 2 comments and 45 million views, and YouTube's going to see that, and it's going to look suspicious, and you're not going to be on the charts. But back to the Badshah example, because this dude Badshah is big. He hit 75 million views within a day. I can see that happening because I think this was his debut after he disappeared for a long time. And even if half of those 75 million views were from bought ads at an average of, let's say you get the best cost per view ever on YouTube. Let's say it's an average of 2 cents. That's still about damn near $1 million. So is Sony India investing $1 million in, or is the artist himself investing $1 million in his YouTube ad? I don't know. I mean, the rapper is huge, but I just find it hard to believe that they're paying that kind of money for, boosted YouTube views. And this, I guess this, maybe they are, but I just, then it makes me wonder, why would YouTube change their policy if these labels are spending $1 million every time they drop a single? Wouldn't YouTube just want to keep getting that money from them? I don't know. Something's not adding up.
Well, I'm not as skeptical. Like, I definitely don't think they're spending $1 million. I mean, to be honest, I've never heard of the artist that you're talking about. Somehow, some way, I don't know. But it'll be a blend. The labels spend a good amount of money to give these songs some initial exposure, and then it just picks up from there, especially if the artist has an existing fan base. So the existing energy of that fan base coupled with all of the ad spend, you're gonna get a pretty positive result. So I mean, at the end of the day, I think it's a good thing. As long as they're not counting fake views or paid views. But with the relationship that these majors have with YouTube, they still have, I don't even really understand how Vivo works, to be honest, but I know a shitload of those videos have hella views, and it's all of those major label videos are getting they're on the top of the suggestion box every time I watch a video, and it's is that placement that they're getting? Is that part of the paid ad? Is that relationship based? Is that just because the artist is popular and it just their algorithm picks it up? I have no idea. At the end of the day, in terms of our audience, I want them to know that, just remind them that they should have a YouTube presence and a YouTube strategy. And you can build to a point where you potentially can chart, for artists like Snow the Product, for artists like Joyner Lucas, for artists like Hobson. They've built up a pretty sizable YouTube following. They probably have maybe a few million subscribers. You can build to that. It is possible. So definitely put YouTube back into your strategy if you have abandoned them for the shorter form video content on Instagram and I guess not Snapchat anymore, but TikTok or whatever.
Does YouTube have charts? So Billboard, for example, has the viral chart, right? And then they also have the digital chart, and all of these other charts. That Billboard has a ton of charts, and I know I've done it with a totally unsigned artist. You can still chart top 10 on those charts.
Yeah.
I don't know if YouTube is at that point yet, but I mean, given the fact that it's the number one source for streaming music, I would hope that they would eventually start creating charts that are more representative of unsigned independent artists, viral charts, call it the underground. I don't know, call it what you will, but yeah, then you're gonna see Snow the Product on there. You're gonna see Hobson and Joyner Lucas on there. But so. To play off what you just said about the fact that YouTube has clearly solid relationships with these major labels, and the fact that Leor Cohen is the head of music, it shows that there is a relationship, obviously. I happen to think, and this is me being a conspiracy theorist, But I happen to think that major labels have some kind of access to like farms or bots or something that are higher quality than what most people have access to. So then when they seriously, I hear stuff, I see stuff, just those numbers are crazy sometimes for these debuts of these music videos, and I can't see how, if you're an artist who already has a crazy following, right, and you know you're going to get 10 million views organically the first day it drops, why would the label not just say, all right, let's just go through this like farm, and it's not going to cost very much, we'll just add on another 10 million views, and now it looks like 20 million. The comments aren't going to look crazy. What's the risk?
They did. I don't know if you remember, like they did get slapped on the wrist, like major labels did, and they took hella views away from some of even the biggest artists. I think this was like 2 or 3 years ago, maybe even 4 years ago.
Oh, okay, yeah.
They did like purge some of these top artist videos, you know, and the views went from like 40 million to 20 something million or whatever. So major labels for sure were gassing, we're gassing some of these videos up. Does it still happen?
Yeah, it happens. Duh. Definitely.
I mean, they probably they don't have, like, I feel like they don't have to be fake views. They could just put money into ads, and then the video shows up after every. I feel like sometimes when videos drop, no matter what I'm watching on YouTube, like the latest Ariana Grande video will start playing, or like, and I don't search anything related to Ariana Grande, so I don't even know how I get put in their, in their filter or whatever. So it must be a pretty wide net that they cast for their ads, or they shows up at the top, like, so they can just do stuff like that as opposed to like farms and stuff like that. I would hope that they've stopped doing that, especially after they got caught and some of the subscribers and views were purged. But maybe it still happens. But
they just got smarter. They don't stop. They just get smarter.
But that has nothing to do with the independent community. Like, I don't want folks that listen to this podcast to even care, because we can't change it. Why get upset? Let's just focus on our audience, build our core, build your subscribers the right way. Don't pay for subscribers. Don't pay for comments, likes. All that is bullshit.
Well, it looks stupid when somebody who would have gotten 1,000 views buys 1 million, and it's clear that that's what's happening with right. Taylor Swift. She could buy 50 million YouTube views and it wouldn't look strange compared to her other stats.
Right. Yeah.
So don't do it. And I would say, I think some people are mad, like if an independent artist does it, they might lose their channel, but if a major label artist does it, they get a slap on the wrist. I don't know if that's honestly true. I think, because I still to this day see smaller artists doing it all the time. I'll look at, some unsigned artist music video. They have 3 comments and, 3 million views. And I don't know. Just don't believe your own hype if you're the one inventing it.
Yeah. So in summary, in terms of my thoughts on this, I think it's a positive thing. I think if you do build a decent following on YouTube, or if you happen to have a video that goes viral, there's an opportunity for you to chart. I mean, it may not be number 1 or number 2, but you could find yourself on a Billboard chart. If you have dope visuals, or if you have a song that goes viral. And I said that was the last thing, but I have another last thing. So this should also tell independent artists the importance of like building your own channel, because I know that a lot of times artists, they might get an opportunity to put their video on another channel because it already has, a decent amount of subscribers. Or like, oh, I just want to get the exposure. Sometimes that's something you should do, but a lot of times, you just have to invest early. And even if it's not gonna be on a channel that has 1 million subscribers, you have to put your content on your own channel and build that presence over time. So unless it's an amazing opportunity, unless it's probably like Lyrical Lemonade or something like that, focus on, have a strategy for building your own YouTube page.
All right, Dame. So you wanted to talk about the lizard humanoid takeover of the music business, right?
No, not at all. I wanted to just briefly. I know that I'm starting to get this reputation of like Dame, the defender of the labels and the shady business people. But I did make a post about Tory Lanez on our Instagram page a few days ago because Tory posted on Instagram. He posted a message that he's since taken down, but it said it was a message to Interscope Records, basically saying, if y'all don't stop playing with me, I'm gonna expose what's really going on in that building, right? And for me, when I see artists lash out at labels, they're gonna get immediate sympathy because number one, their fans just believe whatever they say. And then number two, the perception of labels and business people in the music industry is super negative. So it's easy to take advantage of that and gain sympathy as an artist. I have no idea what he's talking about. I have no idea who's at fault. But just by him saying that, he's going to get immediate sympathy from the public because the perception is that the music industry is shady, and it's always the label or the business people's fault. And I am not saying that it's always the artist's fault. What I always try to communicate to people is it's shared fault most of the time. Sometimes it's more label, sometimes it's more artist. We on the outside have no idea what exactly is going on. We just, we feel like we have a relationship with the artist, so we're probably going to tend to lean more towards the artist side. And we've seen the NWA movie, we've seen the TLC story. You've probably heard my story, and probably, there's a lot of people that have heard my story and be like, oh yeah, Dame, you're the one to talk. You had, a similar situation.
Yeah, we read their comments every single time I post a podcast.
Yeah, yeah. When they don't have the slightest information on, on what exactly happened. So that's my thing. I just think everybody needs to chill out because we don't have the information. I'm not taking the label side. I'm not taking the artist side. I'm taking the side of common sense. If you think about it, it's like, hey, we don't have information on these occurrences. I will tell you firsthand that a lot of times it is the artist's fault, right? If you sign something and you don't know exactly what's in your contract, that's kind of your fault, right? And the labels are never the labels are also perceived to be the blame because they're never going to come out and tell their side of the story, and it's never. I don't think they care. The controversy probably leads to more sales anyway, so it's like and nobody's going to believe them if they say anything. But it's crazy. I mean, answer me this, Payne. Like, have you ever seen an artist label controversy where the artist was to blame? Is there a popular case of a label artist controversy where now the artist is seen in a negative light because they were the person at fault?
No, but you know what? It does get complicated when the label is artist run. So, for example, I guess Birdman, that was one of those situations. Yeah. But then the other one, and I thought this was cool because Birdman really never spoke on all of the accusations that were brought against him by various artists. But when Lil Uzi was going public talking about his label and how he's not going to release music anymore, and he did just drop a new song, so I don't know where that is, but I don't have any of the information, so I'm not going to speak on it. But because Drama did sign him, and Drama and Canada do work for the labels, and Drama is an artist as well as a radio personality, DJ, executive producer, all those things, and he's popular on social media, and he has his own brand and fans, he was talking back. So we were seeing, at least to some extent, we were seeing someone who represented the label. You don't look at DJ Drama and see Warner Brothers necessarily, but he represents a label,
right?
Especially in the context of this conversation, he was talking back, and so that was different. It was a different dynamic. Normally, you're right. If someone comes out and says, Tory says Interscope, he's going at Interscope as a whole corporate entity.
Right.
Interscope itself isn't going to respond. But
Yeah. I
drama
mean,
is.
I just think the fact that we don't know of a situation where the artist is at fault, should like make people step back and be like, okay, that's pretty unrealistic to think that the artist has never been at fault. Like, and we don't really know of one single example where the artist was to blame. It's like, okay, let's just take a step back and not judge these situations, as soon as we hear or see somebody crying about something. Right. And that's really my whole thing. Like, I'm not a super label supporter. I know that labels get more flack than they deserve sometimes. And sometimes they do shady shit. Like, it's, every situation is different. And that's ultimately, where I'm trying to get at. Even when, so in the comments, like, Tory took that post down and somebody was in the comment saying, yeah, Tory took that down because he got what he wanted. And I was like, how the fuck do you know? Like, do you know Tory? Like, people comment online and forget that it's just an opinion in front of what they think happened.
That's not true, Dame. If they hashtag facts after whatever they say, it's true.
It's like, do you know Tory? Like, is somebody in the comments that knows Tory? I'm not saying that he didn't get what he wanted, but I don't know. Like, I'm not gonna sit here. I'm not gonna sit here and tell you, my opinion is a fact. I'm gonna say I think. People are so like entrenched in their opinions that they forget their opinions. And that's not even just a label artist thing. That's just an internet thing. That's just how people are these days, and that shit is crazy to me. It's like and that happened with the Funk Volume stuff. People were in my comments telling me how I thought and felt about things, telling me how I, what I did and didn't do, and I'm like, yo, were you a fly on the wall in our meetings? Like, did you own part of the label? I didn't know. Like, were you on our phone calls? I mean, it gets crazy sometimes online.
I mean, yeah, you're preaching to the choir. Yeah, man. And we still don't even know what the details of his grievances were.
Right.
And look, we're all talking about it. It made for a really great conversation. Not necessarily a productive conversation, but great in the sense that now all eyes are on Tory. So maybe that was the plan. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely accomplished. Anytime an artist does that, it's just an easy way to get attention, and just because if you already have a reputation for something, it's easy to pour fuel on that fire, right? Pain, if you're known as a bad guy,
Oh, yeah.
or even or even me, like, for the people that believe Hop and think I did them shady, like, if somebody else said I did them shady, they're gonna believe it because they believed Hop, right? So it's just so easy to do that. And
That's why you got to be extra nice to me, by the way.
And you're a weak, shallow person. You're a coward if you're doing that to other people, right? Like, if you don't have any evidence about something and you're just like piggybacking somebody's negative reputation, but with no evidence of your own, you're a coward. You're a clown.
Our comment section is about to be crazy.
Probably filled with clowns. I mean, we have a lot of dope. We have
No, it's not. It's not filled with. Shout out to all our listeners. Shout out to everyone who comments.
Not obviously not everybody. We have a dope, loyal. It's small right now. Our podcast isn't huge. We're not gonna get outside of ourselves, but we have a really dope, like, listener base, and I see the most of them are I would say 95+ % of them are super positive, and we're appreciative. But the clowns do come sometimes.
I just wonder how, though. How does someone who's so anti-Dame or so anti-Pain consistently find their way in front of a computer on my YouTube channel on the MEC podcast playlist, just mad as hell, just typing until their fingers turn white?
Hey, I've never met a person like that. That's like, happy and successful. So I actually feel sorry for him. Like there's nobody that's happy and successful that's online doing that type of stuff.
Fair enough.
So you have to kind of feel sad for him if that's what you're spending your time doing.
Well, they feel sad for you for single-handedly destroying one of the greatest independent hip-hop movements in history.
Hey.
And they feel sad for me for spending, $3,500 on a Jeezy placement, which is obviously, a true statement because someone on the internet said it. So in summary, don't abandon YouTube, but don't expect to chart either. But hey, maybe things will change.
I think it's not something that you should bank on, but it is something that's reachable if you build it.
Yeah, well, the crazy thing is this is such a weird time to be a musician because we have access to the very same platforms that the biggest iconic celebrity international superstar artists have access to. So, yeah, we have access to the YouTube charts. Yes, we have access to, various platforms that report to Billboard. Time and time again, you see the same artists who are already big get favored by those platforms. However, on the one hand, it kind of creates the illusion that we're all that the playing field is even, but on the other hand, it is still more even than it was 25 years ago. For sure. And so it gets confusing. There's a way to navigate it. Sometimes people get lucky. Sometimes people just have the right content at the right time that reaches the right people. So keep trying. The last thing I want to do is discourage anybody from using these platforms. And I do hope that the chart systems do change for the sake of the unsigned artists who are working hard and building an organic fan base, even if it's small, compared to Taylor Swift. I do want those charts, at least a couple of the charts, at least one chart maybe in 2020 to represent that community of artists.
Yeah, I don't know if we're gonna get that, but definitely have a YouTube strategy. Matter of fact, the a video that Snow dropped recently trended on YouTube, and if you can get a video to trend on YouTube, like your views are definitely gonna spike. And if that's if those views count towards Billboard placement, it is definitely possible. For sure.
I need to get her on. We need to someone convince Snow to get on the podcast.
Yeah, I can reach back out to her. She's busy,
Yeah, she is.
So in due time, I think she would definitely be a great guest. But you never know who we're gonna get on the MEC next year. We're always having surprises and dope guests. So make sure you not only listen to the podcast, but you tap into our live sessions. MusicEntrepreneurClub.com. Make sure you use the code MEC Podcast. Get your 2-week free trial. I feel like I'm getting better at that, Payne. I feel like I should audition for like a radio station now.
Yeah, you got the mic. You got the tiny secret magical door in the back. You can do anything.
For sure. All right, y'all. We'll be back next week.